Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Wednesday. It's the last day of August, August 31st, 2022. I hope this Wednesday morning finds you healthy and safe, and that the same can be said for your family. I hope that you and your family, in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health, are having your needs met. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field and all of those first responders who every day have one purpose: to save human lives. And blessings also upon those that pick up garbage for us to keep our streets, our sidewalks, our highways, our parkways, our parks clean. And those also that make deliveries for our convenience. And double blessing on the men and women that are trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover the teenagers and the children who are the victims of child molestation that goes on in every state of the United States, in every county of the United States, every day. And also those that are rescuing who are the victims of prostitution, the victims of child prostitution, the victims of pornography and child pornography, the victims of human trafficking and sex slavery, and double curses upon the perpetrators, the profiteers, and those perverts who are out here trafficking in that human misery. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. There are nearly 600,000 men, women, and children, families on the streets of the United States today, and millions around the world in similar or worse conditions, and blessings upon them. For theirs is the kingdom. So yesterday, we all found out in the last 48 hours that R.J. Barrett signed a $120 million extension. We also found out through Shams and Wojnarowski that the Knicks had actually offered R.J. Barrett and two unprotected first to Danny Ainge, which he turned down. We also found out that in R.J.'s contract, there's something called the poison pill. Okay. And I wanted to first start off today's video with explaining the poison pill for you. Now, poison pill has been used in different scenarios in NBA. So when I first heard it, I didn't know exactly what they were talking about, because poison pill, basically in a nutshell, and I'm going to put the definition in the description box for you that I got yesterday from the Sporting News. But basically, it's a situation where a player signs a contract with a provision or something in the contract that makes it very difficult for another team to get him. It's a poison pill. In the case of a rookie extension, like R.J. Barrett signed, this is the poison pill. So if the Knicks wanted to trade R.J. Barrett's contract, his salary this year is $10.9 million. Let's call it $11 million. So he's making $11 million this year. Generally, when you trade a player, their salaries must match with the player coming in, or there must be enough cap space in the team that you're trading him to absorb that salary. Okay, making this a very high level explanation here. So for all you that are all into the details, I want to go later. Don't worry about it. But because it's a poison pill, if you send out RJ's 11 million, you got to take back 26 million. Okay, so a team that is like a Utah Jazz that's going to take RJ, they have to send back, and the Knicks have to absorb 26 million for RJ's 11. So in other words, you're going to absorb 15 million more than you send out. Teams don't want to do that. The Knicks don't want to do that, obviously. They don't want to, and especially if you know Penny Pinch and Leon Rose, that ain't happening. So let's go back now that we understand that the poison pill means Leon would have to take back 15 million more in salary than he sends out for R.J. Barrett. And of course, he's not going to do that. That has salary cap implications, tax implications, all of that. So nobody's going to do that. And Leon is not going to do that. So let's go back to Monday night. So they're negotiating. That would be the Knicks and the Jazz. Danny Ainge versus Leon Rose. They're negotiating. Let's take a hypothetical scenario so that we can understand what happened. Ainge goes to Leon, I want R.J. Barrett. Leon said, oh, okay, you want R.J.? We'll give you R.J. with Evan Fournier and 2 unprotected number 1 picks. Ainge says, 2? Are you crazy? I don't want 2. I'm looking for 6, but I'll take 4. So Leon says, so you're saying you want R.J. Barrett and Evan Fournier and 4 unprotected picks? That's right. That's what Ainge says. Yes, that's exactly right. Leon says, I'm going to offer you R.J. Barrett, Evan Fournier, and 2 unprotected picks, and you have till tonight to make your decision. If you do not decide tonight, I'm going to re-sign R.J. Barrett to a maximum extension, a $100 million extension, a rookie extension with the Knicks tonight. So the day goes by, Ainge calls his bluff, and of course, now you know the news. R.J. signed to a $100 million extension with incentives that could bring the contract to $120 million. His base is probably between 105 and 107. It's like Julius Randle's contract and like Jalen Brunson's contract. And it has provisions in it that if he makes all-star teams, all NBA, all defense, he can get more money and it can max out at 120 over a 4-year period. Averages $26.2 million per season. And that's why the Knicks would have to take back 26.2 because they take the base salary and average it. And so RJ's 11 million will go out and the average of his 4 years is 26.2 million. They would have to take that back. And that's why the Knicks would never do that. So basically what Leon Rose was doing was telling Ainge, if you do not take RJ in these 2 unprotected picks, we're taking RJ off the table. And we have to understand a couple of things. Number one, Leon is a brilliant strategist here. Brilliant. Why? Ainge been talking about 7 picks, 4 picks, 5 picks. He's not going to take 2 picks. He's in this game for the picks. Okay? And so he's trying to fleece the Knicks by taking talent and picks. So Leon laid down the gauntlet and said, look, you can have talent, but you're not going to get a lot of picks because we got to use our picks to recoup our talent. Or you can have picks and we keep our talent. And we have to understand this. RJ is more valuable to the Knicks than he is to Utah. To Ainge, he's just a piece that maybe he can reshuffle and send somewhere else and get more picks. But to us, he's a cornerstone. To us, he's our number 3 overall pick. He's part of the face of our new culture. So somebody might ask, why'd you put him on the table? Leon is playing this game like this. Everybody's on the table. But the price is what matters. So RJ's on the table if you want to give us Donovan Mitchell for 2 unprotected picks. And of course, Ainge is going to say no, but that's the price of RJ. Okay, then RJ's off the table. Okay, so now what are we left with? Well, Ainge doesn't want Evan Fournier, but Evan Fournier's salary is necessary to make this deal happen. Okay, so Ainge is asking for now 4 unprotected picks, and the Knicks are only willing to offer 2. And I thought at first it was like a negotiating ploy, but I don't think Leon Rose is going to come off of 2. So this being the case, there probably going to be a 3rd team involved. And again, we talked about this ad nauseum, into the Lakers, who want to get rid of Russell Westbrook and his $47 million expiring. And they would like to take in expiring deals that could be better fits than Westbrook, namely Bogdanovich and Evan Fournier. So a 3-team deal with the Lakers would work, especially if the Lakers are willing to give up in order to get Evan Fournier and Bogdanovich and get off of Westbrook both of their number 1 picks. Because with both of their number 1 picks going to Utah, now the Knicks send Utah 2, and let's say they add in 2 more protected 1st-round picks. So now Danny Ainge ends up with 6. Better than the Goldberg Hall. He ends up with 6 picks, 4 unprotected. The Knicks would get Donovan Mitchell, Evan Fournier, and Bogdanovich would end up in LA. And then you got to figure out so now we're hearing, okay, if RJ's off the table, that is Danny Ainge is interested in Obi, Grimes, and Quick. He's interested in Obi, Grimes, and Quick. And we could argue all day, literally, Knicks Nation, I know you would, about which two of those would go. And a lot of y'all want to throw Deuce in the mix. And again, I'm not saying this because Deuce is my favorite Knick, along with Mitch Rob. I'm saying this because if I'm Danny Ainge, I ain't having that. So if you telling me I can't get RJ and I'm going to take on Westbrook's $47 million, I want two of Obi, Grimes, and Quick. Okay? And so that could work with any two of those guys. Now, if you're asking me, everybody got their favorite. I want to keep Obi. And again, I pushed for them to get Grimes. I wanted Grimes. And then so did Thibodeau, apparently. And for obvious reasons. He can play both sides of the ball. He's still got a whole lot of upside. The jump shot is sweet. He's got a high IQ. I mean, what's not to like about Grimes, right? I love Quentin Grimes. But if you're asking me between Obi and Grimes, I got to tell you, in my opinion, and again, this is just Raw's opinion. You can obviously disagree with me. I think Obi's got all-star potential. I see all-star written on this kid. And I see, even though he's going to be 25 in March, I see this kid coming into some stardom, man. He just needs the minutes. I see his jump shot going to flow. He already have off-the-chart athleticism. His speed is amazing. He gets up the court like a gazelle very, very fast. He moves without the basketball. He's a more than willing defender, and I think he's going to show a great improvement on that end this year. I see an improvement with minutes. If he gets a starter's minutes, I see him improving defensively because he got length, and I see him improving his jump shot more consistently over the course of a season. I'm seeing Obi as probably a 36-37% three-point shooter over the course of a season. And, and I see his defense improving greatly. So I'd rather keep Obi, especially with our position with Randall, in that the Knicks are obviously trying to deal Randall. They just don't want to give up first-round picks in the deal. But they're obviously trying to deal him. If they could have got one first for him, a protected first, they would have dealt him already. But teams are asking what you want to give us to take on this contract. So with that being the position, and Obi being the pick, I'd rather keep Obi. We picked him. He's a New York kid. He wants to stay here. He loves New York. He's always loved the Knicks. He was crying the night he was drafted because he loves the Knicks. Okay, he's a New York born and raised kid. I want to keep him. He also, RJ has New York ties with his father at St. John's, and Obi has New York ties. Brunson has New York ties. And if we get Mitchell, he has New York ties. I just like that vibe with all the New York ties that we have, on our team. So I would rather keep Obi because of all of those reasons than Grimes. IQ, listen, IQ is going to be a heck of a basketball player. There's no doubt about it. But, you got to give some to get some. And I'm just saying my favorite is Deuce. If they sent Deuce to Utah, I'd be good for Deuce because I know he'd get some minutes over there. He'd probably start over there. But if I'm Ainge, if you're not giving me Obi, give me Grimes and IQ. Okay. Now my second problem with this is the Lakers, because the Lakers want Cam Reddish. I don't like the idea of giving up both our promising wings, namely Grimes and Reddish. I don't like the idea of doing that. So that is why I'm concerned that Obi might be in this deal. I'm concerned because, as I said, they got two power forwards, Obi and Randall. They got two promising wings in Cam and Grimes, and they got two young point guards in IQ and Deuce. I would give up two of one of those sets. Like, in other words, one point guard, one wing, or one power forward, one point guard, like that, so that we have the other one. So with Cam and Grimes, I don't want to give up both of them. So if I gotta give up one, if the Lakers are going to give that two first-round picks, which they should, if they're going to get Bogdanovich and they're going to get Fournier and they're going to get Cam, I'm hoping actually that we can send Kendrick Nunn with Westbrook to Utah and only have to give up one guy, and I'm hoping that would be IQ, but I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. So I'm concerned, but I trust Leon Rose. He's going to hold fast on what he believes is a good deal. And I've been all in on the front office from the beginning. Y'all know that. Some of y'all are way late to the party and some of y'all ain't even arrived yet. But I'm all in on the front office. I know they're competent. They know what they're doing, especially in situations like this. I'm very confident in a pressure situation that the Knicks front office knows what they're doing. So I know that Leon Rose is going to get the best deal he can. I'm just nervous because we're dealing with our kids. Now, if we did have to trade Obi, and let's say it was Obi and Grimes or Obi and IQ that gone to Utah, and then we send Cam to LA, we still have Grimes and Deuce and RJ, and we still have Mitch Robb, we still have Jericho Sims. We have a core group of young players. We drafted RJ, we drafted Jericho, we drafted Grimes, we drafted Deuce. So we would still have a young core, and it would actually make it easier for them guys, whoever's left, be part of the 9-man rotation, because Tibbs does play a 9-man rotation. 8 guys play a lot of minutes, and 9th guy plays all right minutes, but it's a 9-man rotation. Okay. And so, they would all get time, whoever's left. If Deuce goes and IQ's here, he'll get more time. That's the good part about it. You're still going to have a young core of Mitch Robb, RJ, and 4 other guys that we drafted. We drafted RJ, we drafted Mitch Robb, we drafted Grimes, we drafted Jericho Sims, we drafted IQ, we drafted Deuce, we drafted all of those guys. So if 2 of them go, we still have a young core of 4 or 5 of them that we drafted, that we're developing in our system, that's going to be part of us going forward. And I'm comforting myself with that. I just hate to see any of them go, especially you send one out there to Utah, he becomes a star, and you're like, daggone, man, we had him, right? So how this is going to play out in that regard, I don't know. I'm concerned. My only concern is with Obi. I really want Obi to stay, and secondarily, I want Deuce to stay. That's me personal. But Obi is just, with all the New York, like I said, New York ties, loves New York, been a Knicks fan, developed, coming along, could be a star in the NBA. I'm really wanting to keep Obi, so if we got to give up Grimes and Deuce or Grimes and IQ, I'll do that. But I'm really wanting to keep Obi. So we'll see how this plays out. But that's how I see it going. It's going to be a 3-team deal. I see Westbrook going to Utah. I see Ainge getting 6 first-rounders, probably 4 unprotected. The Knicks having to give up 2 youths, along with Evan Fournier, and then make 3 youths with Evan Fournier and possibly Cam, because the Lakers want Cam. So we're going to see how this plays out. But I don't want to see our young people players go like that. Like I said, I'm of the mind with a lot of y'all that if they just walked away from this, I wouldn't have a problem with that. If they just walked away and still after this trade dealt with the Lakers and sent Fournier out to LA, I would be better with that, than trying to deal with this Mitchell thing. But I have a feeling, Leon ain't, there's an old saying, people don't walk on the sales lot unless they're looking to buy something, right? So you don't go on the lot just to mess around, waste your time. You go on the lot, you want to buy a car, right? Leon's on the lot, so he's trying to get Mitchell. Now he'll walk away, rather than make a bad deal, but he's not gonna make a bad deal. He's gonna make a fair deal for the Knicks. He's not gonna he's not gonna fleece Danny Ainge, right? So y'all, look, some of y'all bringing up scenarios where Danny Ainge is getting fleeced. He ain't getting fleeced. Be real, but we ain't getting fleeced either. So it's gonna end up being a fair deal. It's just gonna hurt, and I think it gets done this coming weekend. I think it gets done. So anyway, we'll see what happens. But that's what it is. So we talked about the poison pill with RJ. Don't worry about him being included or offered. That wasn't going to happen. And if we did, think about it like this. If you got Donovan Mitchell and it cost you 2 unprotected first and RJ Barrett, and that's all it cost you, that's a steal. That would be a fleet. That would be us fleecing Danny Ainge. If we got Donovan Mitchell. And all we gave up was RJ and 2 unprotected firsts. As much as I believe in RJ and I believe it's part of the culture and all of that, we would just have fleeced Danny Ainge. We would have fleeced him right there. Okay. So that's why that wasn't going to happen. Danny Ainge ain't getting fleeced. Okay. So basically it was an offer according to what Leon felt the offer was worth. And being Ainge turned it down, he went and locked RJ up and took him off the table. Now there's no more discussions about RJ. And that's the whole point. He let Ainge know, these are the parameters you and I are going to work with, and I'm in control here. So now I'm offering you one of my best players, and you're saying no. I don't care okay, he's off the table now. Next. And Leon will walk away from the deal, and I'm half hoping he does. So we're going to see how this plays out. Now, I'm getting a little antsy about it myself, but I got a lot to do this weekend. We're closing on this house on Friday, and there's a lot going on, and people are coming and working on stuff and all of that. So I'm glad, because I'm going to be really busy and not able to fully worry about this, although it will be on my mind, like it's going to be on all your minds until it gets done. But anyway, take a deep breath, Nick Nation. Here we go. Y'all have a good Wednesday. So